Boom. And we are live with another
Delayed.
episode of the Brownwater Banter Podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
This is Joey Cates.
It is Joey Cates all day long.
We've still never seen any proof. We have Samantha in the studio with us. Again, second time on the show, I do believe.
That's right.
We're going to be talking about the USM Gulf Coast Research Lab has a number of different camps this summer for kids. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Shaggy's Angler Camp and getting into that. So before we do, we want to thank the people that keep the lights on for us. Let's roll through it. Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles 2023, the year to keep your mouth clean. Go hit him up at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Instagram or Facebook, or go check out them on the old school website, southernmagnoliasmiles.com. And when you're ready to book that appointment, man, tell them that you heard about him from us, and give him a call, 228-215-1202. That's right. Hilltree Marketing up next. Our buddy Jesse over at Hilltree Marketing. Slide over to hilltreemarketing.com. Look at some of the websites that he's built for a lot of local businesses that I think you will be familiar with. So if you need a website built for any reason, you're a content creator, small business, doesn't matter. You want an online presence, hit Hilltree Marketing up, and they will take you from no concept to a finished award-winning product, just like they did for us over at brownwaterbanter.com. We want to really appreciate Jesse being on board with us. Tyler,
you told him we wanted an award off of that, right?
I slid that in there while you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, I was there.
Tyler and Cox Law Firm, man. Another one of the sponsors of the show. They've been practicing law for over 30 years in Pascagoula. They come highly recommended from all of our friends that are in that universe. If you find yourself needing legal representation, they specialize in criminal law, family law, and civil litigation defense. So give them a call at 228-696-0111 and tell them that you heard about them on the Brownwater Banter podcast. We're really glad to have those guys on board with us as well. 5th annual Downtown Ocean Springs Crawfish Cook-Off. If you haven't heard about it, you just did. May 27th, that's a Saturday. It's I'm not going to call it an all-day event. It's like 11, I think, is the gates, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's 11 to
Half
6 or something like that. 11 to 5, somewhere around in there.
Really cool concept, man. It's you buy a wristband. I'm not going to say the price because I don't know for sure. You buy a wristband, very affordable. You walk around, see all the different teams. Going to be a ton of teams down there cooking crawfish. You get one ticket to vote for the People's Choice Award.
Yeah.
You sample everything. You don't, the wristband is your payment. You sample all the different teams cooking. You vote on your favorite, and at the end, they award different prizes to the different teams. But it's a really good family-friendly day. Downtown Ocean Springs on Government Street, right next to Pleasant's Barbecue.
Yep, Pleasant's.
That's
in
right.
the parking lot.
In the parking lot. It's a really good event. We're going to be down there competing this year. Hopefully going to destroy the competition. Hopefully make some people cry and never want to cook crawfish again.
That's right.
Or we're going to lose. So it's going to go one way or
Either
the other.
way, it's going to be a good time.
Either way, I called it. That's how I'm looking at it. Either way, I called it. Okay. C to Swamp, our good buddy Rocky over at C2, the number 2 Swamp. Look them up on Facebook. They are originally Gaucher Van Cleve exit, head south. They're on the right. He's let me flash it right here. All your outdoor apparel needs, from extra tough boots to rods, reels, tackle. He does reel repair. He's a boutique local shop, man, that has pretty much everything you need. Stop in there, talk to Rocky. Tell him that you think brown water's better than fish in the South.
Yes.
And you don't know why he's carrying any of that stuff.
Because it's not selling. We saw the numbers, Josh.
Just kidding, Josh. We love you.
No, I'm serious.
And also, he's got a new Gulfport location, I believe, Joey, Pass Road.
Yeah, well, it's the old Sports Unlimited location on Pass Road. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's just opened that up. That store looks really good. And
It's huge.
It's a lot bigger.
Got kayaks, got all kinds of stuff in
No
there.
reason to not go check him out. We want to thank each and every one of those businesses for supporting us, man. It means a lot to us. So let's see here. No, I'm going to click on this right here. And all right, so let's jump into it. So I wish I knew when the last time you were on the show. I know it was last year, probably about this time,
ago.
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mayish. And we were talking about all the different camps USM has to offer. But let's just go for people that didn't see last year's episodes. For those people living under a rock.
What do we got? We got about 3 weeks left of school, 3 or 4 weeks left of school, 15 days. So you're going to be looking for somewhere to put your kids.
Yes.
Where the hell's your kids during the day?
Get rid of
these kids.
Get
They're
rid
not
of
staying
them.
at home with me. They're not if I'm off, they're out of here.
That's right.
Out of here.
So Samantha has some options for us. Just tell us what you do and then tell us what it's about.
Introduce yourself
Yeah.
and tell us what you do.
So I'm Samantha Cappers. I am the program manager at the Marine Education Center. So I facilitate all of our field experiences from K to Gray. If you come and see us at the MEC for a field trip, or we do teacher prep, all of those different types of adventures, I'm the person that it goes through. And so summer camp season, we have every age range. Entering first grade is our youngest, all the way through graduating from high school. So we have a bunch of different camps, and it's a blast. Sea camp, local, 35 years of sea camp. And so we're continuing that. That's for our smaller kids, getting them outside, just getting them familiar and comfortable with being in the water
Right.
and being on the coast, and what happens at the beach and all of the cool creatures that are there. This year's theme is the magic of the ocean. So
Sweet.
looking at like the properties of water and the chemistry, some of that, like of course it's science based. We work with our research partners across the university for USM, and so Sea Camp's a blast. And then for our older kids, that's where we kind of like branch out and specialize. We have Shark Fest, where we work with the Shark Research Center to tag sharks. We have Shaggy's Angler Camp, which is fishing and fishing, different techniques and experiences across the Gulf. And our new camp this summer is the Ocean Science and Technology Camp. So working with uncrewed maritime systems and some marine archaeology, and looking at seafloor mapping and those kinds of things that are happening in the Gulf. And that camp is for middle school, high school students to kind of get their toes into that uncrewed maritime systems type.
Well, before we wrap out and to unwrap those, we're going to jump into all those individually. Y'all offer outstanding field trips. Yes. So tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah. So it's field trip season right now in the springtime. And so we have anywhere from, you can come and hang out with us for half of a day and do a coastal explorer. And those are different modules and activities that highlight plankton and copepods and, different aquaculture pieces and things that kids don't usually get to see. We are located in Ocean Springs, and we have a trail that takes you through the maritime forest all the way down to the marsh. We do some different things with plankton and copepods, and just kind of relate it back to what the teacher's trying to teach in the classroom and get the kids outside learning.
Yeah.
And then we have overnight field trips if you're a little further away. And so those groups come in and they spend a day, half of a day, day and a half with us. And we take them, we can go on our different vessels, or we can do different things, a lot of kayaking. And so a lot of kids haven't been in the bayou. Yesterday, we had to remove a nuisance alligator. And so the kids got to see up close and interact with, this is what we have down here, and this is how we can safely interact with these animals because we're in their habitats.
Yeah.
And so kind of really learn not to be afraid, but just to be knowledgeable. And so it's been an interesting experience.
Was it a big one?
Little.
Okay.
It was very small.
Yeah.
And so not really a threat. And so it was good because it was safe and the kids could see
I bet they were fired up.
Yeah, and they were from Arkansas, and so they're not used to interacting with alligators at all. And so just using what we have around us to teach kids, don't be afraid, be knowledgeable, and you can still have fun and interact. So
was that part of the field trip thing? You said Arkansas. Like, are we getting people from out of town? Is that predominantly what y'all do?
So our large overnight field trips are primarily far away: Arkansas, Tennessee, Colorado. The furthest that we've had is Minnesota. And so lots of faraway schools will come in. The dorms are amazing, built in 1962, I believe. And so it's a great dorm experience, and it's really awesome. And they stay with us on campus, and we host them, and then they come back, and their kids come to Shark Fest and Angler Camp, and then they end up going to college at USM. And
Sweet.
We have the summer field program. So college undergrads will come and stay in the dorms and work with the researchers and get their research credit. So
I don't think we did overnight field trips when I was in
school. No, well, the reason I brought that up is I know you had the younger and then you had the older. Well, my wife recently bought her teacher academy kids over there.
So that's kind of a new experience that we're working with, is pre-service teachers, or along the coast there are a lot of teacher academies, and that's a new trend. And at the MEC, we recognize that we do outdoor place-based learning. We're informal education, but teachers can have that experience in their classrooms and take their kids outside. But a lot of times teachers are kind of uncomfortable or afraid because I have control in these four walls. Mm-hmm. But what do I do when I step outside of my comfort zone? A little bit about my background. I was a science teacher for 12 years and I taught 8th grade science. And so we were like, what can we do? And your wife reached out and was like, hey, I want to bring them out there. Mm-hmm. And so we do a lot of teacher professional development in the summer. And so we kind of were like, hey, we've done a few things, but so now we're, inviting these groups in, and we'll take your pre-service teachers or your teacher academy students through, this is what outdoor learning looks like, and these are some opportunities, and these are some tips and strategies for teaching outside. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the exposing the kids to the outdoor stuff, though, that's always great.
Well, a lot of people, like we bring it up on the show all the time. A lot of people born and raised on the Gulf Coast have never been to the beach, never been to Deer Island, never been to Ship Island, never been kayaking like you brought up, never been fishing. It's weird. Yeah. And for them to be able to get out there and do it and to be taught the right way to do it is killer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's huge. And that's a part of our values at the Marine Education Center is removing those barriers and providing opportunities that people might not have. And that's what our summer camps were designed around, is how can we marry the science that happens across coastal USM with the opportunity to be outside, but also make it engaging and fun for students and show them things that they don't even know exist.
Yeah. I think it's tough to keep a kid. I know I always hated that part of school, was just sitting in the classroom the whole entire time, and it kind of makes you get used to not enjoying learning.
Yes.
And anytime you can mix it up by going out like y'all do and taking them out and showing them that, hey, like, science isn't just something you sit in a chair and look at a book about. It has a real world application. And Joey, you went out last year after this episode on the USM research vessel, and I got a little clip pulled up here that I can show. As that, what was the type of shark was it?
That was a bull shark.
Bull shark. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play just
So me and my daughter went out, and that was probably the biggest shark y'all ever caught. I would think.
I don't think that it's ever.
But that
year it was big.
Yeah. Let me play a little quick clip real quick.
It should come up here
in just a second. Here, let's see. I gotta switch over and hit play. And so,
yeah, he was a toad.
An extra 2 steps backwards, please.
2 steps back.
Yeah.
Everybody take 2 steps back. Yeah. There he is. Is he coming up? There he is.
Yeah.
And that was in like 6 foot of water. That was like the first pool.
That's not good.
Yeah, that was the first pool like around Horn Island. Yeah, that like you could wade in that. So that just goes to show you when you wade fishing, what's all the way around you.
Right, there he goes.
Back in.
Yeah, back in he goes. But that was like obviously the highlight part, in my opinion. Of seeing that type of stuff. But there was a clip in that same video. It's on YouTube. Just type in Brownwater Banter USM shark video and it should come up. But there was a clip there of the guides, Joey. What were they?
They're educators.
Educators that were on the boat and explaining like the equipment that y'all had that y'all dropped overboard that tested for salinity, water temperature,
all that stuff.
And they explain all the reasons why that's important. And that to me is like the hands-on part of it, because if you just read that in the book, it's kind of like whatever,
Yeah, and that's another piece of it. So that trip was also really neat because we had a recapture tag that year. I don't know if it was on that boat, but we had tagged a shark and then that we had caught it again.
Right.
So we had that data. And so what's really important with our Shark Fest, our angler camp, is showing the kids like, hey, the salinity, the YSI, the data, the information is important because, I know this is here, this species is here, be it a shark or a fish or whatever you're looking, seagrass. And having those interactions with the kids, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. I remember we caught this shark, but the water temperature was this, and the salinity was this, and the weather was this. And so really making all that real and come full circle for them. And then especially with our adventure camps, showing them you can do this as a job.
Right.
Like this is somebody's job.
Killer,
like the people in that video clip that had on the slicks, those are actual research technicians with the Center for Research, Fisheries and Development. And I think they're out on a long line sampling cruise right now. They get to do this all the time. And so in like telling kids and showing them career pathways, I think is really important. And that's what our camps do. Is it's great. Bring us your kids for the summer. We're going to keep them safe. You heard Lacey back up.
Yeah, back up another 2 feet.
Yeah, we're going to keep them safe and allow them to engage in somewhat risky behavior, interact, because the kids are the ones that tag the shark. Our staff doesn't tag them. Our kids get the measurements and the workups. Some days we call them whisker sharks. We get all the catfish. And so, but you still have to do a workup on those and take that information, and the kids do the work. And it's really fun because they're like, oh, I'm a part of this research team. And so that's a really neat piece of it. And in our angler camp, it's kind of the same. We'll go out, they'll fish, they'll look, okay, where am I at? Where did I catch this? What did I catch? We caught a lot of jacks last summer and a lot of mackerel. Yeah. And then the kids, especially the ones that are not local, and even some of the local, like they'll be like, oh, you can't eat mackerel. And then some other people are like, yeah, you just have to soak it in mustard. And so it's always really fun.
What their mom and dads tell them.
Yeah, it's always really fun to see. Like some kids, like regionally, they'll be like, oh, I don't eat blackfish. And I'm like, what? Why not? Like, come on, like, let me show you. It's delicious. Or like, oh, that's just a bait fish. And I'm like, no, it's mullet. Like you throw it in the smoker and it's still like, it's great.
They're delicious.
Or you fry it.
Yeah. And so really kind of with Angler Camp, it's always fun. And especially having Shaggy's as one of the sponsors is because Shaggy's comes in and that's what they do is they cook good food. And so, like the chef will come in and show them how to prepare snapper. Mm-hmm. And so it's really neat because like snapper, everybody's like, oh, that's the best. And then it's like, but hey, you can also cook these other fish if you needed to. Right. And so it's a lot of fun to show them, hey, you have these options. And then our Angler Camp kids, we all keep up with each other. We have an app. And they share like their fishing pictures throughout the whole year. So it's really neat to see.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you came to camp, you brought your brand new tackle box and your fishing pole and you showed up day one and it was not, nothing was tied off. Like you had to put line on it. And then, here we are 6 months later and you're still fishing. And so that's a really neat process to kind of see play out with our camps.
Do y'all do any pre-education before these camps? Because I know on the shark thing that we were talking about when we pulled for the bait, and they was asking what kind of shark, and the kids were like, they were spitting it out. I was like, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So that's a whole part of our curriculum design is the first day of camp. Like you show up out of the gate and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hear from our researchers and they're going to tell you this is the research we're doing. So if you see a shark with a satellite tag or a shark with this kind of tag, that's what it is. And a lot of our tagging program education, like our sport fish tagging program, if you catch a tagged fish, a lot of times people will not report it because they're like, oh, I did something wrong. It's like, no.
Or I don't want to lose my fish.
I know. Yeah. And so that's where the first part of like the day is with our Angler Camp is like, hey, this is what the tagging program is. This is the research that we do. We're doing agent growth studies so that we can provide information to regulatory agencies. We're working on these different, we just want to know more about this species because they're cool. Like our hammerhead sharks, they're endangered. We know that there's not a lot of information out there about them. So we're going to study it. And so we kind of walk the kids through this like education of this is what we do at USM. And then these are the fish that we're going to encounter regularly.
Right.
Because you're in the Northern Gulf. It's a really special spot. The Mississippi Sound is amazing for its, variety of species and things. And so we're going to teach the kids, okay, nearshore, offshore reef fishing, here's what we're looking at. And, we're not planning to go on don't get in your skiff and go think you're going to catch a tuna. Like it's just not going to happen.
Nope.
And so really kind of like showing them these are where these species live and these are where these species live. And this is what you're going to see. And so they have all that before they get on the boat. And then we have for Angler Camp, we spend a lot of time like how to tie a knot and different knots for different applications.
Right.
Fly fishing is a new interest for a lot of people.
It's getting big down here.
I love fly fishing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Hopefully this year we'll have a larger fly fishing influence on our angler camp. But my very most favorite knot, it's a blood knot. I didn't realize that it was very common I knew it was common in fly fishing because that's when you're joining your like different size lines together. It's just easy. Well, I think it's easy and quick. But I didn't realize that it wasn't like commonly taught to everybody.
We use swivels.
And so, yeah. And so I was like, just tie a blood knot. And they're like, no, just put a swivel on. And I was like, well, why? And so it was really, it's fun. I was like, no, you just like put it together. You don't need a leader. Just tie. And they're like, no. And so it's been interesting, like getting a lot of input and feedback and showing kids, hey, you have options, but also like, you don't have to, rig for like you're going to catch a tuna to catch a redfish.
Correct.
And so sometimes we'll have kids show up with these like huge, like reels, like they're massive. And I'm like, what's
30 wide. Yeah, we're going to catch
like,
croaker.
All this, I know. And then they'll have like a panfish hook on the end of it. And I'm like, that's interesting.
You're never even going to fill it by it. You're never even going to fill it by it.
And so really walking them through like that first day and sometimes the first couple of days, like, looking at your conditions and saying, okay, is the bite on the top? Where's the bite at? What am I trying to catch? You're not going to catch a flounder,
on top water.
If you're using top water. Yeah. And so, these kids, and I love them, they get so much information from a lot of different sources because they, social media is everything.
On the phone,
all the time. And so it's always fun to see them come in and you have like those that fish every single day and are on it and they just look and they're like, okay, it's going to be interesting. So that's kind of the first part of it is learning the background. And then we just take them in the field and we tell them, rod and reel sampling is a sampling technique. We catch sharks on rod and reel, but we also sample and catch fish on rod and reel. And so you're a scientist, you're using their, preferred bait. You're using, what's going to give us the greatest odds of catching it. So
have y'all had any kids come back? Because y'all been doing this for a while.
This is our 9th year for angler camp.
Yeah. And then one of the other ones is even longer than that. Right?
Sea Camp is 35 years. Like my husband went to Sea Camp.
I remember the nostalgia
at the old
on the point.
By Cornflows. Yeah.
And so so we've had those. I'm not sure how long Shark Fest has been in. I know at least since 2014 because Lacey, the lady in the video with the red hair, she came to Shark Fest in 2014, went to USM, majored in marine science. And then now she works for us, and she's worked for us for a little while.
Oh, that was my question. If anybody had went through the program and then came back and worked,
yeah.
So
that was, if you remember the kickball tournament, she played kickball with y'all.
Yes, she did play kickball with us. So that kickball tournament, that was a great time.
It was.
Yeah.
And so Lacey is one of she's been a camper. She's worked for us for as an educator, and she went through summer field program, so she's seen all of the facets of the Marine Education Center.
So she's lived it.
She has.
She's been in the trenches.
Oh, completely. And so we're still there. So they worked a group of about 60 today, and we have 85 of them coming in tomorrow.
So they've already started.
Oh,
the camps.
Camps have not started. These are field trips.
Oh, okay.
But so the education staff works year round for us,
right?
And they do field trips and summer camps, and so they're outside year round.
But that's a good segue, though.
Yeah. So when did they get fired up?
Well, let's unpack the 3 camps for the summer and when they start.
Yeah. So Sea Camp starts June 5th, and it runs every week from June 5th through the last week of Sea Camp is the second week of July, which is July 10th, that's the last week of Sea Camp. We're not having any camps the week of 4th of July.
Okay.
So
too much going on.
Well, it's on a Tuesday this year, so you could do like 3 days. It's just like, we'll take a break. We'll take a reset period. So
and what's the length of the actual
all of our camps are a week long. They're 5 days and they're day camps. So it's like a morning drop off, afternoon pickup.
Is that usually Monday through Friday?
It's Monday through Friday. Okay. Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3:30 ish. So kind of like a modified work day.
Right. Like a school day.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of, we've set it up to mimic a school day. And you'll come in, you'll send them with their lunch, make sure they have their sunscreen, bug spray, protective clothes, changes of clothes because they get wet.
Yep.
And so it is outside. We're going to sweat. It's hot in Mississippi. We'll keep them hydrated. We give them a water bottle, a t-shirt.
Had plenty of water on the boat trip we went on. Yeah.
Yes. Lots of hydration reminders, pause and take 5 sips. And all of our staff is trained, CPR, first aid trained. A lot of our staff that is hired in, they're educators. And so it's not like a bunch of college kids running around the forest with your child.
We've been there.
And so, so everybody's certified and trained. We do a staff week prior to camp so that everybody's on the same page. We follow all the university protocols, minors on campus, fun stuff. And so you bring your kid to us and we get them wet, dirty, and tired, and then send them home.
Yeah.
So it's a blast.
Yeah. So 5 days straight in the sun is.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, you got one classroom day, right?
We have, and so with our Sea Camp kids, it's kind of mixed, and so Sea Camp will have like a dedicated beach day. They'll have dedicated like outside, like in the forest, like hiking days and water days. They go on the Miss Pizzi Bee, which is one of our smaller vessels. They pull a trawl and things like that. And so Sea Camp is it's contained, to the beach. And we do take the Sea Camp kids to Deer Island.
Right.
And so it's kind of small and local. Sea Camps where you're going to learn to like throw your cast net. We're going to do some seining, dip netting, those kinds of things.
That's kind of like that is a fading art.
Oh, knowing
how to throw a cast net. You know what I'm
saying? I think it's interesting. I always think it's interesting. I'm a huge, like, you got to put it in your mouth. Yeah. Like you cannot throw it without putting the cast net in your mouth.
Correct.
And so I've seen a lot of people try it. Like, I'm like, okay, I see that.
We worked with Captain Ronnie Daniels at the boat show, and he does the
demo.
Kids 101. Yeah. And I was talking to him. We were talking about throwing a cast net, and I said the only time I didn't put a cast net in my mouth is when I had braces.
Oh yeah,
because I threw one time with braces, and it was like hanging off the side because I had my net hanging off of it. But it's good to know both ways, not how to throw it in your mouth and then how to put it in your hand.
Oh, I didn't think about braces.
Yeah, it was bad. So. I almost with the net in my mouth.
That would have been bad.
That would be straight to the bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
Note to self though, that is my new fear unlocked is sea campers and braces. So we will be definitely checking this year, like things you didn't know you needed to look out for.
Yeah.
So, but so that's kind of Sea Camp, and it's fun and it's exhausting, but we make sure that they have a balance of inside and outside. They haven't built up their tolerance to be outside. We also are weather wise, so we're going to follow the guidance for the heat indexes, because I think last summer we had 110 during our island camp, so we're on Cat Island good. And it's like, okay, everybody in the water, the Franks, the large boat, has an air conditioned cabin. So we rotated them in and out. So, but so that's Sea Camp for the small kids. The first camp is Shark Fest, and so Shark Fest, same thing, Monday through Friday.
And that's the one we filmed.
That's the one that y'all went with us last year. And so it's got some classroom days. We're going to dissect a shark. We're going to hear from the researchers, and then we spend 2 days on the water sharking. And then we do cook. If we catch a shark that we can keep, we'll teach the kids how to prep it and cook shark and let them try it.
Really?
Shark is a regulated fishery in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And so really getting the education out there about, yes, there is, a lot of places use the fin and only the fin, but you can eat the meat of a shark. And there are different ways you can prepare it so that it doesn't taste as sharky.
Right.
And so kind of letting them try it, and some, talking about like when they learn the systems of the shark and how sharks their endocrine system works. So that's where all the toxins are going to be released, and the different like processes that happen, and which parts of the meat that they want, and looking at like the overall form of the shark. So
yeah.
Did y'all see that 14-foot hammerhead that washed up? I think that was
with all the babies.
It had like 200 something babies in it.
That was really neat.
Yeah, those pictures were wicked,
amazing.
So with Shark Fest, one of the interactions that they have is with our shark research lab, and so Jeremy Higgs is the director of this shark research lab, and they have a preserved 7-foot hammerhead, and it is frozen. And so we have had he brings it out and we'll show the kids, this is the size of it. And so we have pictures with, this massive 7-foot hammerhead that they take and they necropsied it, because the one that is at USM, I believe, was bycatch. It was caught on a fishing vessel and they brought it to us. And so that's how a lot of our shark stuff happens, is bycatch, and they call us and they say, hey, I have this shark, you want it?
Yeah.
So,
donations.
Yeah. So because I know they've gotten a thresher shark that way, cool. And that thresher shark is massive. I think it was 13 feet. And so it's really neat, the different things that people have. And the hammerhead sharks, they're always my favorite. The little bonnet heads are cool. You see them out at the
shovelhead. That's what my daughter calls it. Shovelhead shark.
Yeah, well, they eat that in that seagrass out at Ship Island, and so they're there and you can see them. And so it's always fascinating to be like, oh, this is cool and it's here. So
yeah, Shark Week was awesome, and it is definitely what they say. Everybody's got life jackets on. Everybody's got following safety precautions. Water's all over the place. So I know a lot of people get kind of scared or kind of anxious when you got somebody else taking your kids out on a boat. But at no time did I mean, my kid was with me, and it was perfectly. I mean, everybody was do this, back up, don't get the hook stuck in your hand, blah blah blah. Right. It was awesome. It was a great time.
A nice vessel too.
Absolutely.
That boat's it's not like you're just out there on a little skiff.
Oh no.
We don't take any Carolina.
Yeah, very.
It's a catamaran, so it rocks this way instead of this way. It's a little weird, but it's good.
60-foot aluminum catamaran. So it's very safe. And then Shaggy's hooks us up with our charters for angler camp, and so we go out on the Happy Hooker with Shaggy, and Captain Jim is fantastic. And we, his crew takes care of us, and it's great. That vessel, I think, is a 42-foot Hatteras. It's very big and comfortable, and it's like, it's not, it's made for like luxury. Like it's a nice, like, and because, it's great. And the kids are like, this is amazing. And I'm like, yes, this is amazing.
We're rich today. We're all living rich.
So it's really nice. And it's a great experience. And they learn so much. And so every one of the deckhands that we've ever had has been willing to talk to the kids. Like, this is what I'm doing. And this is what the captain is telling me. And so, and we've seen some pretty cool things. We've seen a sea turtle. They saw a spinner shark. We were out there fishing last year, and the spinners will like breach and
come out the water.
And the kids like saw it and they were like, what was that? And so it's always a good time, and it's a long day, and everybody's tired at the end of it. So,
where are they, like, I know the inshore camp for the little kids stays inshore. The shark goes Horn Island and just around Horn Island. Does this one go a little further than that?
Yes. So they, the angler camp, we do a day offshore where we go out snapper fishing. And so that is why the camps fall the weeks that they fall is so that, because you're going to catch more sharks in June, in early June, because of water conditions. And then you got to do angler camp before snapper season closes. And
who knows when that is.
And so you try to get your angler camp in before the 4th of July, because typically they don't close it before 4th of July.
That's a free fishing day.
And so we try to get it in those last 2 weeks of June so that they can go, because the goal with angler camp is we want to do offshore, nearshore, and in the bayous and pier fishing. I was like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Pier fishing. We do some wade fishing. Wade fishing happens when I have a lot of adults to kid ratio, we
Yeah.
get volunteers that'll come in, and it's people. Our volunteers all are background checked, and it's making sure that wade fishing can be risky. You're talking about wade fishing, especially at the islands.
It's super tough with adults.
And so, and so it's usually our older high school group or very experienced kids with an adult, and it's, like I said, really small ratios because we don't want kids wading out without an adult there.
Right.
So
now, is there prereqs? I'm sure there's prereqs to like if a 5-year-old wants to sign up for the Shaggies, we want to put them in the little camp first.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily like a prereq, but you have to be entering 7th grade to do the angler camp, the island adventure camp, or not island adventure, the angler camp, the Shark Fest, and our Ocean Science and Technology camp.
And that's the new one this year.
Yes, so Ocean Science and Technology is brand new.
Yeah.
So Coastal USM has the Roger Wicker Center for Ocean Enterprise and the Marine Research Center, and they are kind of like pioneers in ocean exploration technology with the uncrewed maritime systems, and it's these robots, for lack of a better word, that have all of our sensors on them, and you can go and remote operate these vessels to collect any kind of data you want. Like fisheries researchers use them to count fish. We're using them to go down and dive and look at shipwrecks, look for shipwrecks. A lot of water quality data and metrics, but also mapping side scan sonar to map the seafloor, because the Gulf hasn't been mapped in a long time, and so that's what a lot of people are revisiting that, and we're finding some pretty cool things. And then our researchers, so they found a U-boat in the Gulf several years ago, and so they are studying
like here when you say the
Gulf, at the mouth of the Mississippi River.
Really?
There's a U-boat.
There's a U-boat. It's
the
probably,
Germans.
Yes. Yeah. And so, but our researchers are studying the microbiomes that are around shipwrecks. And so one of our staff is a maritime archaeologist, which is super cool. And we're combining our maritime history along the Gulf Coast and looking at, maritime history, mapping techniques, and putting this ocean exploration tech into practice. And these are what these robots do. Fisheries, we count fish because it's easier to put a robot down and send a live stream and actually count the species, or I'm not sure, let me freeze if there's a school coming by.
You can't do anything with
and
that.
so now
it's more accurate.
Yeah, and now with like the AI stuff, it's like, hey, tell me how many fish are in this image, and so it's really cool. So and so our camp is basically designed to incorporate all of those ideas and technology and kind of show kids like, hey, if you like to play video games, hey, let's come do some science with it. Or you like to be in the water. Let's put all of these together and see what kind of magic happens.
Well, that's cool in both ways, especially with the snapper quota is huge around here, amberjack quota, all this other stuff. If we can get a good count on that would be great. But also for the Rex, FH1, FH2, it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like it says it's there on the map, but is it really there? Yeah. So now we send the robot down and it scans. A lot of stuff do that with GPS now. Like Garmin has the topographic or whatever it is, but I mean, you're right there doing the same thing.
Yeah. And so, and it's the side scans, and we have, so shameless plug, USM has a hydrography program where you can get your master's in hydrographic science. It has 100% job placement. Amazing. Calvin Martin is over that, and he is fantastic with those students. And so they are some of our partners, and we're looking at going out to those on the Franks, going out to some of those wrecks and using some of that side scan sonar, having the kids plan missions. And so each kid in the Ocean Science and Technology camp, they'll be broken up into teams. Each team will be given a mission, and they're going to learn skills over the week so that they can plan their mission and we'll use one of the mapping techniques,
Right.
whichever one they have, to figure out, is there anything on the sea floor at this location?
Are they sending that back to the DMR and saying,
hey? Wouldn't it be cool though if you found out you weren't just a crappy fisherman, that wreck wasn't?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I thought I was just terrible.
You could kind of see it on the scan, and it's like,
mean,
we're not catching any snapper here.
Yeah. Because little did you know there wasn't
There
nothing down there
at
the
all.
whole time.
Yeah, it's just a mud bump.
It was
This is a mud bump.
It was 2 miles the other way.
I got a new head unit on my boat, so that's going to solve all that.
So I know I'm excited.
Any excuse we can find.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
But that is killer, and I don't. There's another college. I don't know if you want me to say that, but Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College is.
Oh no, yeah.
They're doing a actual free class on the ocean the same way, and outboard motor. It's all in the same class.
Yeah. So I think that we're in partnership with them.
Okay.
We have a free online course. It's a series of 4 online courses on uncrewed maritime systems.
I think, something like that.
Yeah. So Chris Deaton is the instructor at Mississippi Gulf Coast that's doing the uncrewed systems course. And so I work with Mississippi Gulf Coast on STEM and the Sound. And
that's
so
cool.
that's where a lot of this like marriage of tech and ocean exploration are colliding. Gulfport is the hub for blue economy. And so
it's over there.
Ocean Arrow has been brought in and all of this. And so that's kind of what we're doing at USM, is trying to bring all of our stakeholders together.
Yeah.
Our community college kids some of them will, transfer straight into USM in their marine science programs. Some of them will come work for us. We need technicians. And so those ROV pilots and ROV techs, come to camp, go to Gulf Coast, then come work for us. And so that's kind of the beauty of this program, is it's a different group of kids. They might not love being outside. They might not love being in the water or fish necessarily, but maybe you like gaming and you like to be on a boat. Okay, let's combine those two things and see what happens with it.
With this group or this age of kids, you got to attack them at a different. You got to attack them differently.
Yeah,
like we grew up on the water. That's all we want to do. Like, you go fishing, absolutely. Let's go on about. Now they're like, even when they go out there, they're like, and it's how do you break that or incorporate that into what we're doing now?
Yeah, and that's exactly what this camp does. And so it's like, okay, if you want to look at a screen, let's look at this mission plan screen, because they really do have to. It takes that type of processing to understand, I'm going to send this command to this robot in this way, and it has to be written a specific way, or your robot's going to spin it. That's what my robot does every time I do. I'm like, I can totally code. I cannot.
No. X plus S plus A. No,
it's like what they call it, mowing grass. It's just going in circles. And I'm like, oh. So I was like, that's not what I thought it was going to do. And so, but it really is. And these kids are amazing. And so that's like the trend. Like, so we grew up with like quiz bowl teams and science fair projects, which is awesome. But now all of these kids do robotics competitions. And
robotics,
so we sponsor
drones, STEM, all of
Sea
it. Yeah.
Perch is one of our events. And so it's like, okay, we want to build a glider. We want to build an ROV. Let's build it and go take it and make something happen with it. And show the kids like, hey, this is cool. You like this. Let's see what happens.
Education has to evolve, and it's evolved the same way. I think what you're talking about, like STEM, you make a robot, you put it in a computer, and you control it with your phone. It's just like playing a video game. So that's what kids like. So that's what they're in.
And so you were talking about the YSI, right? This like long, giant tethered probe that we send over the side of the boat, and then we have a computer system. We were talking yesterday. They make them now. All the data goes straight to your phone. You drop the sensor, it goes to your phone. And so everybody can have an app on their phone on the deck. And it's like,
we got it.
Real-time
we
data.
got this. Yeah, real-time constant data. And so it's neat to see that is where technology is driving us. What are we going to do with the ability to capture this much data? And so, and then the kids that are coming up now, they have to answer that question.
Yeah.
What can this data tell us? What can we analyze from it? And if we, get them interested in high school, when they are in the career field, hopefully they'll think back and remember us.
I'm always a fan of anything that gives them experience at what they might be doing before they do it. Right. Put hands on. This is what it's like. And then when they go to study it at a university or wherever, or trade school, tech school, whatever, you kind of know what the end game is. Right. Yeah. And hopefully you already know that you like it versus just something you kind of picked or something you kind of fell into.
Well, it gives them something to shoot for, especially like, because I'm a teacher. I had no experience being a teacher. When I walked in, I had no idea. So I jump on that boat, and I've been through the class before. I've already know what's going to happen. I know what's going to go on. So now I can teach these kids how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's definitely like part of the heritage here on the coast, like you mentioned. Having people do that, and then you're even you're poaching people from other states with the field trip stuff. So that's always great. Getting them recruiting for USM through that program. So
absolutely,
very smart.
Well, it's the fine line between I don't want to do this. I want to sit on my phone and I want to go on a boat ride and play on the.
Well, the phones aren't going away.
You see what I'm saying? No, it's not.
They're not going away. Technology's not going away. It's just all infiltrating.
It's what
into
can
everything.
you do to get them expired or inspired and get them out there on the water, because there's nothing better.
Well, I've got it pulled up here. I'm going to screen share one more time before we wrap things up. Let's see here. Yep. And so you'll see it come up in just a second, but this is here. Hold on. Let me click so when you first jump on here, this is the Marine Education Center. Just type in usm.edu, click on Marine Education Center. This is what you'll see. You want to scroll down to keep going, and you'll see right here the camps are listed. All you gotta do is it looks like this, hit the plus sign, and you can see it right here, Shaggy's Angler Camp, which is the one we've been talking about the most here so far, and the Shark Fest as well, the Sea Camp, the Island Adventure Camp, and then also the new one, the Ocean Science and Technology Camp. So you just click on whichever one you think you're interested in, or click on all of them, and you can read more about them. Like, let's click on this one and just see. I'm
sure it's going to tell you what you need to bring, it gives you and all that other stuff.
Gives you the date, so like July 10th through the 14th, right on the science camp there. It shows you the cost. And it kind of breaks you down with some bullet points as to what you can expect. So it's super cool. And then, of course, the registration button right there. So if something you want to be a part of, it's all right there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And that shows you everything you have, like lunch and
all of the
what you must
details,
have, the must-haves. Yeah.
I'm going to go back, and I'm going to drop the link to the Marine Education Center in the comments below. So that way, if you're listening or if you're watching this on the replay or live, you don't even have to go look for it. It's right there.
It's right there.
So there it is.
So the one we talked about the most is the Shaggies. You talked about they actually cook some of the that we've caught.
Shaggy's is amazing.
Yeah.
As far as the sponsor goes, they are fantastic, and so they will come out, and that Friday they cook and prepare. Like, this is how we prepare the fish. So Friday is cleaning and cooking day. And so we walk you through, like, if you caught this is how, and we let the kids, like, you scale the fish this way. And so, like, a lot of times I'm like, you just get a spoon, or because they're like, I have to have fish. I was like, you don't have to have anything fancy.
Right.
I was like, and if you can't figure it out, it's okay. Like, we'll just do it on the half shell. Like,
just eat it. Just eat it.
I was like, and then like flounder, a lot of times they are like, well, it's so, like, you can't clean it. And I'm like, this is how you clean it.
Yeah.
And we have our researchers come in on Friday too, and they show us how to take the otoliths out. And otoliths are how you age bony fish. And so the kids all typically leave with ear bones for anything that we caught, and can actually get them out. And then
so you wear like a necklace.
A lot of times they do wear like like red. These are my redfish otoliths. Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah,
you got some ear bones around your neck, and like redfish otoliths can get pretty big. But and so they will take the otoliths out. We'll show them how to clean it. And like with flounder, they're always shocked because it's like, oh, just score the top, and we'll like put some butter, and if we've got crab, we'll put some crab, and it'll be great.
Stuff it like an envelope.
Yeah.
It's
and they're
feast,
like,
though,
that's right.
They're like, that's all you have to do. And I was like, that's all you have to do. I was like, it's just like a little cut right here. And they're like, you don't have to worry about the fins. I was like, no. I was like, you can just leave it.
Eat that anyways.
Yeah. I was like, the only fins I like fried catfish fins, like the tails. And so when you fry a whole catfish, you chew the
The
tails.
little
Never done
crunchy
it.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's the only
Well, it's
things
a lot
that I
of,
eat.
a lot of freshwater crappie and stuff like that. Yeah.
I was like,
Oh yeah,
I
like,
grew
like
up.
brim.
Yeah.
Still not my favorite.
And so, I
It's
mean, I
not my
don't
favorite.
typically eat hearted catfish. You can.
Yeah.
I've heard they're
No.
decent if you clean them right. That's what
My
Josh keeps telling
dad,
us.
my dad swears by it. My
Well,
dad will eat just about anything though. like
Now,
like, my dad also eats raccoon and nutria. So,
well, those
like
are
from South
good.
Louisiana. So.
Well, gaff tops is white meat, but
I,
hardhead it's a slime ball.
Yeah.
I'm not eating a slime ball. I don't want
is.
nothing like. If I have my choice between a speckled trout and a slime ball,
I'm gonna go for
I'm
the
a
speckled trout. So, and that's what, and we like teach them like, hey, you have to, be catfish is still gonna barb you if it's dead or alive,
Right.
And so really like teach them how to prep and clean. And then Shaggy's comes in and shows. They talk more about like the flavor and what is like their chefs at Shaggy's are so on it. Like if it curls wrong because the muscle tendon, they're like, that's subpar. Like we're not gonna send that out. And I'm like,
I'll eat it.
like,
I'll take it. Yeah.
I was like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But no, they sponsor that lunch like completely for our kids. And the chef, they bring the blacktop out and he shows them how to do the vegetables. Like it's a whole meal. Like that's what I was like, I need my kids to do this when they're getting ready to go to college so that they might actually know how to cook when they leave.
You get a fishing and a culinary class all in one place.
And it's really cool. And the chef that we've had the same chef the last couple of years, and he is great with the kids. And so because like sometimes chefs you're just like, are you gonna get Gordon Ramsay? Like who's gonna show up? But no, like it's fantastic. And so and the kids really enjoy it because they're like, oh, like I thought there was a lot more to it. I was like, it's just fish, like some butter, some Tony's. Shaggy's puts more than Tony's, but like at home, it's like butter, Tony's, lemon, throw it in
there,
roll out.
It's fish, yeah. Did they come to y'all, or you?
No, they come to us.
Okay.
Yeah, so they come to us, and it's really it's convenient for us because I don't have to like drive over to Shaggy's, and then like drag kids in a kitchen, and we're not in their way, and so they bring it out. We have a nice like pavilion patio set up at the MEC.
That's
pretty really cool.
Kudos to Shaggy's for being a part of that and doing that for the kids.
And the last thing before we get out of here, you're looking for help this summer. Am I correct on that?
Yes. So summer camp, there's applications online. We're going through those right now. So if you are interested, hop on. It's USM main, we call it Hattiesburg campus. USM employment is what we would type in the search bar. And so we have counselors, aides, and assistants for summer camp. And then if anybody wants to volunteer, reach out. We take volunteers, even if it's just a couple hours one day.
Right.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Well, definitely for student teachers and stuff like that. Getting some
hours.
Yes.
I was like, if you need hours, that's what a lot of our volunteers are looking for, service hours, or just, I'm old and retired and I love to fish and I want to hang out with a kid and teach him what I know. So
be on the lookout. We're going to jump on y'all. We'll jump on the boat with y'all one day coming up pretty soon. But where do we need to go? Where do we need to send people?
It's in the link for the people watching.
The usm.edu/MEC. And then my contact information is on the website, marine.education@usm.edu or Samantha.Cappers@usm.edu.
And that's for the jobs. If we're interested in everything comes to you.
Yep.
Right. Audio people, I'll link it in the description on the below the podcast there. So you just click on that as well. Take your kids out. It sounds like a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for your time this evening, stopping in and hanging out with us again, episode or the second time. And thanks everybody for watching on the live, the replays. If y'all keep watching, we'll keep doing them.
Keep knocking them out.
That's right. All right. We got one tomorrow. We can mention it now. We never can do
one tomorrow. Yeah.
Who we got tomorrow?
Elias.
Yeah,
for sheriff, Harris County. Yeah.
All right, sweet. So y'all tune into that. We'll create the live. It'll be on all the social platforms.
See
y'all on the next one.
Yep.